Yeah, no. I don't know how much you guys have played. Due to D-Dog taking his big break, like the interaction have ceased. If there was like interaction, plus Chris barely went into the city for a good period of time. So this is one of the rare interactions that I'm happy to see. I want to see who takes it.
If only we had some sort of stats reference. Maybe we could find out if they played previously.
There it is. Oh.
The stats actually said the same thing that I said when I saw this match. Ooh.
I think this brings home a really good point that just because two players are from the same state, that does not mean they play often.
Right.
This is New York City, I believe, to Long Island. Those
Staten
okay,
Island,
well,
that's
Staten
even
Island,
worse.
yeah, even worse. Staten Island to Long Island here. And that means that these two people are closer than what would be like Long Island, Philly, right? Like if we're really thinking like furthest, widest gap, it would be Philly to Long Island. And to think that certain players from Philly have more sets in Long Island than Staten Island to Long Island, that's very interesting to point out. So I'm excited to see how their first set in all of Ultimate is going to go right here, right now in Losers Finals.
Yeah, no, definitely wild. To be fair, D-Dog did have a different Smash GG, so.
Oh,
So,
all right. I just painted
could
this
be.
really good narrative,
Yeah.
Reggie. So we're going to
I
just
just
axe what you said.
If someone finds a VOD, I needed your little John, right?
Yeah, just nuke that VOD real quick.
Yeah.
Just like mark it as plagiarism as we go into the set. The first game of this set, and right off the bat, PkChris is right off to his same tempo and his same tricks as he was against every other opponent. It's about playing this close to mid-range, just in Ness's range where he can threaten things like back air and forcing the opponent to respond defensively first and then play off those defensive habits.
However, though, if you were looking for any good response to a small misstep from a Ness, it's got to be Steve up tilt. Look at what it leads to. Just two little openings, 92%. We got the down tilt. It doesn't actually work all of the time like we saw in the spectacular fashion in the previous set, but it still does kind of reset the situation. Really good tool to keep Ness off the stage. Dead even here, though, as Chris gets that grab.
Yeah, and now we're back to the scramble at this point. And if I'm Chris, I have to get ahead first. That's kind of the name of the game. But I think as the bracket has been going on and on, I do think D-Dog is definitely managing the resources a lot better. I think both Steves are, honestly, because we've seen some very low material bars. This is definitely the largest that D-Dog's material bar has been practically the entire time, but I love the loop-de-loop and pull of Ness forward air. Gonna even it out, 2-2.
Yeah. Doing a fantastic job right there. And you said they had to scrap it out. That's what Ness wants, but you can't scrap with Steve when you do stuff like this. Just sword out of shield and just manage to spike him if he can get a conversion right there.
Yeah, we're seeing PkChris slowly start to fade himself back a little bit, not trying to engage with Steve on any circumstances but his own. This is one of the few times, though, I feel like we're seeing someone effectively edge guard Steve in both forms. Like, you see a lot of counterplay to minecart, not a ton of counterplay to Elytra, which is normally, for what should be a lot of characters with decent hitboxes, like most of the characters in Ultimate are, a free hit on Steve if you can anticipate the Elytra versus anticipating the minecart. And I like to see the bravery there from PkChris, just to recognize and understand, though, that up tilt into back air. Hey, AG, the great equalizer.
I was going to say, the thing about worrying about Elytra, right, if you do get the punish, it's great, but if you miss, it turns into a huge reversal. Always finding the auto-cancel window right there into a huge punish. And although Chris was keeping it close, it's so much harder to play at this deficit here. We have some diamond tools and a backup diamond for the next stock as well.
Yeah, the thing is, I've always said this about Grand specifically, but it also comes to fruition here. The player that is going to come hot off of another set is always going to start their next set really hot, right? And D-Dog, just coming off of a really hot set with Rivers, such a nail biter and so close. Chris has been waiting for a while to play again. The last time that Chris played, it was versus Steve. So this is just kind of like opening the Band-Aid again and saying, all right, what can we do? And honestly, Chris, you need a better answer than that.
So that's ripping off the Band-Aid and saying, we need to go to the hospital.
It's like, sorry, you need stitches.
Yeah, this is a bad. But it was a pretty tough situation anyway. Chris got caught with no jump found a miraculous air dodge to the ledge, but still like had no room to breathe, right? D-Dog is ready to kind of reset the situation. Caught him again, sent him right back off stage, kept the pressure up, which is really just the name of the game. I'm so surprised that Anvil didn't hit either, and then it just turned into good old-fashioned minecart into a good old-fashioned area. So going right back into game 2. It's going to be Final Destination, which is pretty interesting in a lot of ways for Steve. Ubel, tell the people at home how you feel about it.
I never like picking Steve to FD for a lot of reasons. I think Steve is able to manipulate airspace a lot more effectively. Though it seems like this is a Long Island thing where both Mr. E and PkChris are like, all right, we're taking Steve to FD as this sort of like way to control airspace with our character and like try to corner Steve as much as possible.
I like how he called it a Long Island. It is just those two that are willing to do.
I made an assumption. That's on me.
Situation like maybe Guy because Luigi does have an advantage there, but outside of those three, not many people will take Steve to FD due to how strong he is. But those players really love the fact that there is no platform for Steve to like go and do a bunch of shenanigans, and there's no platform to cancel the Electro, which means he has to come back on stage, and there's a bigger risk for Steve to get these auto cancels, and they can punish it a lot more.
Honestly, at this point, I'm seeing a lot of like, I really want a diamond now from D-Dog's gameplay at this point. We're seeing a lot more mining. D-Dog, though, trying to get lined up here. This is a great start for PkChris, but unfortunately for D-Dog, Ness is a little short. So honestly, just soaking all of the hit via the anvil at that point. Good back air out of shield, looking for another one, but D-Dog not going to go down without one. Still, F-Smash not going to do it.
We did finally find that diamond, though, that we were looking for so desperately, and it's especially important on this stage because that diamond shovel is going to last forever, and it helps with the mining so very much. So if we see some more defensive play with those walls and more mining from D-Dog, it's going to be hard for Chris to kind of force the issue.
Yeah, I like you bring up the shovel as well. Like it really helps Steve maintain his threat because he's never burning any of his tools on mining. You're just utilizing that shovel for as long as he needs it to. It might even slowly be encroaching on the second diamond in this mining rotation right now. And there it is.
You're goated.
You're goated is so funny off that.
But yeah, no. Chris is going to take the stock right there. That second diamond basically didn't do much. It did not get put to a lot of use. And the big part here is Chris has now almost a full stock lead, but damn, 68%.
Who are you looking for at all?
Yeah.
Where'd it go? What happened to that lead?
I was about to say, I was like, more like a half stock lead now, but like a lead nevertheless. Good get up attack there. That's going to stop just pure demise here. D-Dog has barely taken any hits on this stock so far. Good shield through the PK fire and finds the back air. For a game that has started so in Chris's favor, D-Dog just, the moment we're able to find Diamond again, D-Dog's like, oh wait, I'm good now. Now we can play the game. But Chris has to fight back, Google.
Yeah, it's so over. Wooden tools were so back Diamond.
Yeah, really.
And it's paying dividends right here. How long has D-Dog been at 25%? Just
at least 15 seconds.
Yeah, like untouched through 3 whole stocks from PkChris, and the diamond back air finishes off the final one to bring him to a 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
Reggie, I'm going to ask you. This is your region right here, Long Island specifically. This has been a big question I've been asking. How does Chris reverse 3-0 D-Dog right now? Go!
To be honest, he locks in. Like no, so Chris actually has been having like a good game plan. It's just been like minor execution flaws, and he's been getting disgruntled. As you see right here, he's been playing a lot of motions right now.
I just love that your answer went from pray to lock in. Like friendship with organized religion over.
Yeah,
hyperfixation is my new best friend. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's what we need. I mean, maybe we need to do it faster though. 94% is a crazy opening from D-Dog. Ari on the back foot, still running it back to FD too. Lyric, how are you feeling right now?
I'm a little, that's a great question because I feel like I have no horse in this race at this point. Like, Philly been out for a while now, so I'm
Great start, though. Great start.
I'm a little sad for Chris. I've known Chris for a long time. I think for me, whenever I'm watching players, I watch them get frustrated, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm frustrated for you. But I mean, Chris definitely not out of this just yet. But I think, like Reggie said, is that the game plan is going to stay the same. But do minor fixes fix everything? I can't say it does at this point, man.
Not against Steve. There are certain characters where their game plan is set in stone and they're able to adjust to that game plan very reliably and very consistently. Steve is just such a modular character, though, that it is incredibly difficult to stick to one game plan over the course of the set, unless that game plan is Cloud back air or something where you're just able to negate so much of what Steve has to offer. Like it becomes harder and harder with every passing game for PkChris to truly lock in.
No, it definitely has. And you see in the player chat, Chris has been getting frustrated. So the locking in is not happening. This up tilt is definitely going to kill like all momentum right there. 65% and put in a horrible situation.
All right, back throw though. Maybe some room to breathe. Still holding on though. Is kind of rough. And one thing I think that's especially frustrating too is like PkChris has been trying to go high and maybe like jump from the ledge so you don't get caught in some of these grounded combos. But the problem is Steve just brings the grounded combos right to your doorstep no matter how high you are from the stage. So jumping from the ledge one more time ends up meeting the back air, and that was a wonderful show from D-Dog. Moving on to that last bit of the bracket.
Well, I mean, we didn't get New Jersey versus New Jersey finals. We did get New York versus New Jersey finals, but we did get, out of 5 Steves entered today, and how many players in total? 46 something?
48 players.
48 players. We have a Steve versus Steve grand finals here at Tristate Showdown. Kelvin, our producer, is so excited. You could really see it on his face. But we have to give it up for the valiant effort of PkChris, who absolutely performed so well today. This was not an easy bracket. No pool was just easy 1, 2, 3. So I have to say, shout outs to Chris on Long Island too for showing up. I think definitely a sub-region of Tri-State that is truly slept on alongside with, you know, its kind of sister region being Westchester as well. So great showing from Long Island. But it will be New York, New Jersey, Staten Island versus Central, North. Where's here? Central Jersey. It's a battle of the sub-regions here at Tri-State Showdown. I am super excited to see how it all concludes, and it's been a blast with you three so far. But, I mean, how do y'all feel about the Steve versus Steve? Now, this did happen in winners, right, Ubal?
Yes. Syrup won 3-0 in a handshake. No problems there. So it's tough to anticipate because sometimes D-Dog has these really hot moments and sometimes he feels a little bit cold.
Sure.
I know at the last Xeno Saga, a similar story kind of came to pass where D-Dog was put into losers by Syrup in 3-0 fashion, then was able to win his way back to grand finals, and I think even reset the bracket there. So it's a very hit or miss type of approach whether or not D-Dog can play into Syrup very well, but given a solid 3-0 clutch against Rivers, who was playing extremely hot throughout most of losers, then a dominating win over PkChris, I think we're seeing one of, if not the best form of D-Dog that I have ever watched play.
I'm going to have to agree because he's been going on a tear, and I felt like he's not a person that usually clutches up. He does falter like under pressure, and I was expecting Rivers to like take that game 5.
Yeah.
And him finishing that out shows a lot of growth as a player. He did take a long break due to school, but definitely coming out a lot more fierce.
I'm gonna say it's July, so now's his time.
It's Christmas.
What?
It's Christmas in July.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, for some of the players, for sure. But I'm sure, you know, one of them is going to have to pray and one of them is going to have to lock in here. I just don't know which is which.
Oh.
I'm very excited to see this dynamic because to your earlier point and to the point of many a commentator before me, coming in hot off of this momentum from running